Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. It's October 2024 and in just 3 months' time, it'll be 2025. Scary to think about that. So this month we are going to rewind back to August when one of our own managed to return to Orlando for the first time in forever. Grab a drink and sit back because we could be in for the long haul. This month, John is going to tell us what it was like returning to the magic.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. Hello to all our listeners, watchers and everyone in between. We are very pleased that you have joined us for this show, the one we weren't sure was ever going to happen. I'm Claire, and with me today I have Ben and Becca.
Hello.
Hi Claire, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And, you know, I like the way that you said hello in unison. It's like,
I know.
hello.
I managed it. 5 years.
Like play school style.
It's the first thing we've been able to say together in 5 years of the podcast.
I know. Let's not go with happy birthday because we tried that many times.
Oh no, that's a nightmare.
And of course we've got our John is with us.
Howard John. Oh dear me. Sounds ominous.
I know. It sounds like you're in trouble. But of course we've got John with us. And I thought today that writing prompts and an outline, I thought about doing that. Because often when we do these shows, we have a little outline going that keeps us on track. I thought, I'll write an outline. And then I went, you know what? There's absolutely no point in doing that because it's going to be completely pointless. Just going to get wasted. So I thought the best thing to do was just to let John take us on a journey of discovery of his new things, old things, new friends and old friends that he discovered when him and his family were back in Orlando this summer. So, John, where do you want to start?
Oh, it's difficult, Claire, because again, I was trying to be sort of plan ahead for the show. I thought I'll get some notes together and stuff like that, just so I know where I'm sitting. So, like pages and pages of notes. Pages and pages of notes later, I'll end up going from different points to different points to different points. So if you're the type of person who sort of doesn't quite grasp that whole thing, I do apologise in advance. It might spike and just go off at a tangent. But hey, if you've been listening,
it's going to be like one of those Goosebumps books. Where it's
choose your
adventure.
Yeah.
On the plus side, though, that 9 pages of notes, that's your trip report outline sorted.
Absolutely.
I
That's
think
chapter
so.
1, isn't it?
I wish.
I think John will be writing an autobiography one day, without a doubt.
Yeah.
can't
It's
wait.
coming. It's coming. I tell you, Claire.
I'm waiting for Stephen Fry to do the audio version.
Yeah, he's too posh. He's too posh.
With a Scouse
John-
accent. Who's the
John Bishop.
comedian?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
John Bishop, yeah.
That's right.
I tell you what, and this is maybe a good place to begin. And it's that whole thing of when you've not been for so long, you start in your mind. We went, I've said this before, we weren't going to go in 2020. That was going to be our year off. With everything that has happened since, it's turned into 5 years off. Now, that's not a good thing because at some point along the line, you start trying to detach yourself from a place that you know and you love and you've loved for a long time. Now, for me, that's obviously more difficult because you detach yourself, but you're still doing this show every week. We do the Wednesday
we don't
show.
help with that.
And then twice a month we do the podcast. So that's kind of kept me ticking over in a way. But in my heart of hearts, I've kind of turned myself into that bit of what happens if I go and I don't quite feel the magic in the way that I used to. And I was just like, that for me was a real stumbling block to begin with. And again, you don't want to take too much for granted. You don't want to say, oh, well, lots has changed, lots of things. I need to prepare myself mentally. And so I'd already gone with the whole attitude of, we'll just see what happens. I hadn't got much planned, but when we got on the plane, it was just that whole thought of next stop Orlando. And it was more in a parental thing because obviously it's the same with you, Claire. We both had Morgan, Josh have been out there for the summer. And for us, it was that bit of you're going to see your son. You're not really, and certainly for the first few days, we weren't going to see any of the theme parks, etc. It was more just making sure, checking in with your son. And actually, that for me was the first bit.
Yeah.
I'd
agree with you there completely.
That really that overshadowed everything in some ways.
Yeah.
You know,
I think we felt the same in terms of the fact that like the first 4 days that we are 4 or 5 days, something like that, it was about like popping in to see Morgan at work, so we wanted just to do that, and then sort of like fitting round. Could he come for breakfast? When was he working? Could he get home? What was he doing after work? You know, those things. And then the moving out of Flamingo.
Yeah.
And all of that. That kind of not detracted. It wasn't detracting from the trip, but it was something else to think about that we wouldn't have had to think about.
It wasn't detracted, but a distraction to actually what you would normally be doing, wasn't it? You know,
I know, and we would normally have done what you do. We would normally have planned. You know, we're going to do this day in this park, and this day in this park. And with an annual pass, I had to book park passes. Although there were a number of open days where you didn't need to. But I hadn't done any of that because of the fact we weren't quite sure what Morgan was going to do, what his plans were. So it was a far more unplanned and flexible approach, shall we say.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Actually, it was actually quite nice to just not really know what we were doing the next hour.
See, that's nice because you're so used to planning, and like for a 14-day trip, okay, you know, like how many days you want to be in Magic Kingdom, I want to do this fireworks show, this, and it's like you arrive and it's like, oh, I don't know what's happening from 1 hour to the next.
Yeah.
How can I be flexible? I think
if you're the sort of person like I am, which is that when I'm at home, I am super, not in control, but super planner. So
you know what's going on.
I need to know what everyone is doing, not just what I'm doing, but I need to know what Dan's doing, what Millie's doing, what Morgan's doing. You know, I need to have all of that in my mind.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this before on the podcast. I have a wipeable whiteboard in my house that has everyone's plans on it for the week. So because I'm actually really scatty, I am then go the opposite way and I'm ultra organized.
Yeah.
Because that's how I manage it. And so to be able to go and not know what we were doing, I think there was one day where I'm not making any decisions today. Because I do it. I remember saying to Dan, I said, it's not a holiday for me if I have to be the project manager of the holiday.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of describing it.
There was one day where I was like, I'm not making any decisions today. Everyone else can decide what we're doing. I won't talk about that. But it was really strange, and I know that you guys had the exactly same experience, John. You know, because we weren't quite sure what Morgan and Josh were doing, and they almost had a bit of a plan themselves, but hadn't maybe told us or hadn't decided, and it was like this whole hit and miss. What are we doing today?
Yeah, I think the other flip side to that as well, Claire, and this again is something that's new for me. Normally we would get, we went for 3 weeks. Normally we would get a 21-day ticket. And we would actually make use of those 21 days as and when we wished, and we just dip in, dip out, dip back in again. But like with a 14-day ticket, that really created a little bit of an issue for me, because we had 18 days to use it. We had to choose when we were going to start the ticket. So again, there were certain restrictions on that, because obviously with Josh working, we didn't want to be using up park days that would leave us short at the end, and him with a ticket that had extra days. So that threw up something. But I actually feel that 14-day ticket is actually quite restrictive in some ways, and maybe forced us into a different type of holiday. But I'll come back to that. The first thing I would say, I would put my hand on my heart. We went direct, and that was probably only the second time we've ever gone direct.
I didn't realise that.
Really? I tell you what. Yeah, we always go direct because it's always cheap. So it's always cheap.
Yeah. You normally did.
And this time we paid over the odds to go direct out, and then we were meant to be coming back via Atlanta, but more of that later. But what a difference! Yeah, when you arrive at MCO, you say, Orlando, here I come, and there's no hour here and hour lost there and things like that.
Yeah.
You land when it's daylight. You land when you can see where you're going, rather than landing at 7 o'clock at night when it's just getting to that dusk time and things like that. Wow, what a difference that made. And
okay,
it was,
so is
it
that
was
going to change
quite
the trip
something
going forward?
Absolutely, Ben. Absolutely. The other thing I would mention, which is brand new, we have mentioned it before. If someone's listening to this, you're planning a trip, please make sure you download the Mobile Passport app. because for us that cut at least an hour of
Yeah.
Wow.
time at the airport.
Standing, doing nothing.
Yeah. And it made such a difference. The second thing, and we haven't touched upon this, but actually it's something that is available to anyone who's a visitor. But I got the visitor toll pass
I was going to ask you
at
about
Orlando.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Is
I've
that
actually,
the hanger, the thing that
Yeah.
you pay from the vending machine and you stick
Yeah.
it on the hanger of your car.
so as you come out of, as you come to the car hire desks that are on, was it the lower floor at Orlando Airport? So basically every third desk closer to the door, you'll find one of these machines. Now you pay $10 up front. Now that's really quite easy to do, and you can set it up. You download the app, you pay, you leave them with a credit card, and then you basically make sure you go and you collect it. I had a car hired with Hertz. Now Hertz have actually got a really good reputation. I like them. The cars are generally always new. I always know that they're new because we've got, was it Sirius XM in the car, which the subscription always runs out after 12 months.
Yeah.
So we got Springsteen FM up for the whole day. we were sorted musically.
We had 80s channel. I think it was like.
Oh, I love that one.
It was like
Yeah,
the 80s channel.
It's just
awesome.
And I found an alternative one as well, which had some of the most fantastic music too. But if you're hiring a car, this can massively impact you. Now, for sake of taking us off holiday mode, the saving is considerable if you are with nearly every car hire provider. Now, if you're with Avis, Budget, National, or Alamo, you generally pay about $30 per rental, and then you pay your tolls on top. It's not, in the bigger scheme of things, it's not massive. With Hertz, with Dollar, Thrifty, and Sixt in particular, there is no maximum usage. So if you use it, certainly with Hertz, it works to something like $7.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just $70 a week, and I'm just like, that's just crazy money. And you actually feel if you're going through a toll, that's going to rack up. Now, you can go and use the money and stuff like that, but actually, a lot of the times you can't. So this takes away any of that. Yeah, but it takes away all of that problem.
Actually, when we went last October, with Hertz, we didn't use the visitor toll pass, and so we had their plate pass, which was $9.95 admin charge every day you went through a toll. Yeah, on top of what it was. So that wasn't an opt-in. That was what you just got if you just got in and drove. If you didn't opt out,
that's
a lot of.
And it's really, that's not in some ways.
People don't realise you have to opt out. You need
to read the small print on your car hire because we tend to.
We went through a toll a few times, and I would say we got charged in total for our 7-day trip $45.
Yeah,
we got lost a few times.
And we got lost a few times, but it was one of those things.
Roads.
But that was only like 4 days usage of the tolls.
Yeah. And the tolls are like $2.50 each. So I think it's really important that actually you read the small print on your car hire because each company is different. And actually I've checked on Avis, it tends to be who we use because they partner, they Budget and Avis are the people that partner with BA. Yeah. And I choose Avis because I'm Avis preferred, which gives you a second driver for free. I don't opt in or out or anything, and I don't do the toll pass. I've never done that. I looked at it when I first went on my own and had a car because I watched theme park Bazza does he's got a really good video or a really good vlog about it if people want to see how to do it and all of those things. Go and check out Bazza's video. But I didn't, and actually I never do now. I literally just get in the car and drive, and we get billed for the tolls probably a month later, and it is only the cost of the tolls and a small admin charge because that's Avis's rules. So I don't ever bother.
And I think you're right there, Claire, about having the preferred options. So I think with Hertz you can get Hertz Gold, and it gives you a few added benefits. Yeah. So I think there are a lot of different ones.
That's what I've got, Ben, as well.
And it's worth it.
Interesting, John, in terms of the tolls, because when I go in October, we'll be doing far more tolls because we're going down to the Keys. So actually,
what I would say, Claire, for 3 weeks, and we admittedly the biggest days that you do it is when you go from the airport to wherever you're staying, and then coming back the way. We did do a number of days because there's a nice little shortcut if you want out of the parks quite quick, and you sneak onto the port. Yeah.
48,
and it's just like, and that's like was it $1.75, but you're not that bothered because it gets you back quicker.
It racks up though.
It does. Grand total for 3 weeks worth of toll pass, $13.
Oh, that's
And it-
excellent.
Wow.
And it
Is it
comes
just
off.
Orlando it covers, or is it
No, I
Florida?
think it's the whole of Florida. So if you
Okay, might do
if
that.
only if you, I think you pick it up in Miami and Orlando. But
Yeah.
I would say to people, if you check out, is it somepass.com, it's worth
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a look at and just put
I'm totally going to do that.
visit a toll pass. I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain I will bang on about this in some of our Wednesday shows forever and a day now, because
Save
the
your
actual
money.
but the actual costing of it is, for me, was just
It's
ridiculous.
negligible,
And
isn't
It was one of those things that really confused me because Virgin Holidays used to always partner with Alamo.
yes,
Yes,
Always
they did.
used to. And it was only about a year or two ago where everyone's gone, oh, it's not Alamo anymore. So a lot of them had either switched over and it's to Hertz. So it's a
Yeah.
completely different thing. So everyone thought, oh, what I got before.
Yeah.
It's not so you need
And
to
that's
read
the
the
thing,
small print on your
every
profile.
company's got their own different
Yeah.
No.
system. And I think you can with Hertz pay a different level
You can.
to cover you for your whole trip. But if you just did what we did think we're not going to go through many tolls. I'll pay whatever it is and see what happens.
But
Yeah.
then see
First
how
time
quickly it
hiring a
took
car,
each time.
you learn. But this time we're only going to have the car 6 days, but we're still going to go to the airport and back, hotel, and do driving around. It's for $10.
That's make it. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
I will test that in a
Yeah.
couple of
Good.
weeks.
I'm looking forward to
Glad to hear it. From the airport, it was all plain sailing. We were staying
When
at
you
Orange
got to the airport,
Yeah.
blimey, people, buckle in.
know,
This is
I-
going to take
I
some
know, I-
time.
Well, originally, we
Got
booked a
3
villa.
weeks to go.
Oh, no, we booked a villa.
We'll be back from our trip at this point.
And-
I'll be back. from-
Insert video of us on the
Yeah, still-
cruise.
Yeah, and then video.
You'll be waiting for the audio book. That'll be it. No, I was going to say we booked a villa, and I would say a massive thank you to Robin and Simon, who'd recommended somebody who did us absolutely proud. But we put in the dates that we wanted to go, and then we realised, hang on a minute, we can get another weekend out of this by just sneaking it back a bit. So we ended up going to Orange Lake, and we stayed at Orange Lake for 3 days to begin with. What an amazing resort! It was absolutely beautiful. It did us absolutely perfectly for what we wanted. And then we went to the villa with that same bit of intrepidation, because like I've said before, normally if I book a villa, I will have it down to the nth degree of what it needs to have, which direction the pool needs to be in. I will check it out on Google Maps. I will have looked at every review under the sun. We never did any of that. We just booked it, and we just like, well, it'll be what it'll be. Let's not worry ourselves. Let's not even think about it. And I tell you what, it was absolutely gorgeous. And the positioning of it in Encantada on the 192, it was like 1 block away from Orange Lake. So we were dead handy for moving day. It was really handy for Flamingo. So it was handy for Josh. We even took him to work one day. But it was just a reminder. And I know we've stayed sort of up on the 27 before. We've been up at Champions Gate. I'll tell you what, when you're in that strip on the 192 and you are within 10 minutes of Animal Kingdom, it changes your holiday completely.
It really does.
I know it costs a little bit more because of where you're positioned, but oh my word, I hadn't quite realised the impact and the positive impact it would have just on the whole holiday. Then became just sort of so much more simple, and just like you could just nip out to Publix and you'd be back in 10 minutes and stuff like that. And
I think you save the money that you spend on the villa cost of being closer and the swear jar that's in the car when you're sat on the I4 trying to get to Champions Gate. Because
There's one road you want to avoid is the I4.
Oh, the I4 car park. And we've done Champions Gate. We stayed at my cousin's villa once, and it's just the most beautiful property. And I would happily stay there every single time if someone moved it half an hour closer, because it's such a time waster.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, John. I absolutely believe that section of the 192 between the Wizard's Hat shop and Margaritaville, the other side of Margaritaville, sort of Wawa, down into the Publix down there. If you're somewhere near, is it Rolling Oaks?
Yes.
That's where Target is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Somewhere around there, you are 10 minutes from the Animal Kingdom
Yeah.
parking lot. And
It's so
it's
close
just
to that area. It really
it's
is.
closer than a lot of the resorts on property.
Yeah.
Plus, you're not
Yeah.
getting the bus.
There's also options, Claire, as well. So,
Yeah.
for example, if you, again, going back to that, using Rolling Oaks as the target point on your map,
Yeah.
if you're coming out the parks and one way is actually snarled up and you're thinking, I'm not sitting in a queue of traffic like that, there are different routes that you can go and take.
Yeah.
And that
It's like
makes
the
it
one-
so much better. You know, it's,
The 192 between 4:30 and 6:30.
oh, yes. Tell me about it.
Do it. If you're coming out of Walt Disney World between I suppose 5 and 6:30 in the evening, and you're
Yeah.
coming onto the 192 going west towards Tampa, you need to find yourself a different route because you will sit there for half an hour easily every single night. And I don't understand. It must just be a clash of traffic. You know, the local traffic, the school traffic, the
There's lots of
theme park
capacity
traffic.
all at once.
There's no rhyme or
It's
reason to it, Claire, but it just doesn't go anywhere
Oh,
quickly.
it's been like that for as many years as I can remember, and it never gets any better. And every time I get caught in it,
Is it?
Why did I come this way?
Is it a bit like the 3:00 storms that
It
just
is.
roll in?
Pretty much,
you know
yeah.
they're going to be there every day.
This
during
year's
the
the
summer.
for the first time this year, I found Sherbeth Road to be snarled.
That's what exactly what I was about to say.
That used to be like the sneaky cut through. You go down
Yep.
Sherbeth Road, nobody knew about it. You cut round the back, it was all good.
So now everyone knows.
Now
about
everyone
it.
knows about it.
But even if you go and use the toll,
Stop using it, people.
the toll
Yeah.
road that sneaks you in down the side of Orange Lake. But no, but Western Way is busy as well at that same time.
Really?
So in some respect, don't even try going anywhere quick at that
So
time.
in the
It
evening,
doesn't
just
work.
don't go.
Just stay in the park.
Yeah,
Stay
stay
where
where
you
you
are
are.
till 7
No,
o'clock.
that's basically it. Yeah,
Go for dinner.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Maybe it's done deliberately. Keep you in the park.
I think so. What I was going to say as well is we were very fortunate that very early on in the trip, whilst Josh was still working, he'd actually booked using his cast member discount one night in the Grand Floridian, and I wasn't told about it until the very last minute. One of the things that really surprised me was I didn't quite believe at that particular point that we were still there. Our park ticket hadn't started. We'd been in Animal Kingdom on a free day that Josh had actually managed to get because of his employment and because he'd been a good boy and he got free park passes that he kept through the summer. So we all get him for free one day, and then he went to work after he got us in. But the Grand Floridian was just like an experience and a half, and just one that we made the very most of. We went to check in at 9:15 in the morning because Josh was working at 10. So he had to be there to check us in because he got the cast member discount.
Mm-hmm.
The standard of service behind the check-in desk was absolutely second to none. It was, I've got to say, it blew me away from the very minute we walked in at 9:15 in the morning until we walked out about, I think was it about 10:30 at night the following day. We got 2 full days at the Grand Flo. It was just the most beautiful place. I doubt we could ever afford to stay there again without a very hefty discount. But just what an incredible resort. And again, just a place that even if you're not staying there, just go and soak up the ambiance and soak up the just the whole place. It's just beautiful. It really was, even from the smell as you walked in. So that was even keeping with. We did a Wednesday show, I think, just after I came back, and we were talking about smells and scents. But yeah, the candle for the Grand Floridian was ordered very quickly when we came home.
I think that the issue for me, and I didn't realise, you know, when you said to me, "Oh, I've got something special planned for that day and that day, so I'm not available to do anything."
Okay.
I didn't know that you didn't know. So I'd known for ages we were going to the Grand Floridian because Josh and Morgan told me.
Oh dear me!
And it's only by sheer luck that I didn't mention it to you at any point. Because when you said, "Oh, I've got something special planned for tomorrow, I'm not available," and I was thinking, let's go to the Grand Floridian. He must go to like Keys the Kingdom tour, or he must be going to dinner somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And I assumed that you had this something else amazing planned, not because I thought you knew.
No, I had no idea.
Absolute sheer luck that I hadn't said. Oh, what, are you doing something when you're from the Grand Flo or something?
Hey,
I was just like,
there you go.
I knew all about it for
Oh,
weeks and weeks and weeks.
Oh, there
and
you go.
didn't-
You see,
It
There
was
you
so
go.
funny because I said to Morgan, "You didn't tell me that John didn't know.
That's a slightly
I
important
could have
thing.
ruined the whole
Little
thing."
bit.
It just so happens that I didn't mention it, but it was so funny when I messaged you and I
brilliant.
said, "You said I'm at the Great
Yeah.
Floridian." I was
Where
like,
are you? Yeah.
"Yeah, I know. I knew that.
Oh,
What
it's just
else are you
like,
doing?"
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
they'd like rented the Grand One or something. I was like, it's so funny. And I was like, oh,
dear.
you didn't know.
Yeah.
Morgan's like, no, he didn't know. I said, you didn't
I
tell.
know. No, it was just like,
You had such a good. I remember messaging you that afternoon. You're like, I'm sat by the pool. I've been here a while. I've had
yeah,
some
I was on the
drinks.
white
I'm having a
sangria.
great.
White sangria around the pool was rather good.
Yeah,
But
I
then-
remember that message.
But then the rain came in, so we thought, well, it'd be rude not to. So we hopped on the monorail and we went to the Contemporary, and we went to the Poly, and we kept. It was just like,
Kept going.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what a bet! Oh, it's just what a way to spend the afternoon, and then to come back to the Grand Flow, and you're just like,
Yeah,
this is rather pleasant.
I'm staying here.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. This is
It's
this
one
is
of
our
those,
home for
like,
the night.
it is a bucket list resort for so many people, just to have one night there and just to even experience it and just walk around it.
Yeah.
There's something, it just gives you a different feeling when you just step into that resort. I remember the first time we stepped in there in 2014. I felt out of place and thought, this is not for me. So we didn't stay around long. And then last year we got a chance to stay there for a bit longer.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible.
I think that's it, Ben. I think people are put off by it when you first go in, and I think I was very similar. Probably one
And
of
then
the
you see
first
the
trips.
price.
Yeah, and you think, oh well, it doesn't matter. Does I'm not
Okay,
doing
oh,
that.
That'll be why then.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, no, it's, yeah.
But yeah, it kind of kicked us into that
Yeah.
Disney mode, and I think that was a bit for me where it became real. And after all this time of wishing yourself to be somewhere else, it became the realization that,
There.
oh my word, this is magical. This is everything and more than I'd built in my head and that had built up for years. And we hadn't even gone. Yeah, I even gone into Magic Kingdom by this time.
Did you get a chance to see the fireworks from Grand Floridian?
We
you
did.
watch
We
them?
found. Do you know something? Ben? We found the most amazing spot. Which we then used later on when Claire and her family joined us one night as well. It was brilliant. I can't
Really
fault.
good spot.
Yeah, and it was just like, in fact, the first night there was the first Halloween party was on, so we watched the Halloween fireworks from a distance, and then the second night that was when we'd watched
Happily Ever After.
Happily Ever After, and it was just like, spot on. We can do that, and we can actually.
It's a bit of a hidden secret, isn't it? It's one of those places on the Grand Float property, and I don't know if I want to tell people that if you know where it is, you know.
I think people are drawn
So
towards
you
the
can
boat
get-
dock at Narcoossee's,
Yeah,
and it's not there. It's
Yeah.
just
No,
to the
not
side,
there.
just a bit
It's
to
not
the
far.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just go towards Gaspé.
keep it to yourself.
And do you know what? It depends also what room you're in as well. I think in the new DVC resort building, there's
Yeah.
some really nice. I think we were quite lucky. We were able
We
to just sit
were.
on the balcony and just watch because you can see.
Yeah.
See parts of the fireworks from on the balcony.
So,
And some of them.
John, let's just talk about, because we're talking about fireworks. I'm going to put you on
Oh.
the spot.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Happily Ever After.
Seriously,
Yeah, because
Okay.
I know Ben and Becca love it.
I know, and it's just when we were in the park and we watched it in the park, it made Josh completely goosebumps and stuff like that. Now, normally, and I don't know whether it was the mood sort of that pervaded at the time in the household. I'm not quite sure, but we'd made it into the hub very last minute. But we didn't feel as if there was any kind of coming together as a family. Josh was enjoying it because he watched it all the summer. I was watching it. Alison was watching it. Our Joe was watching it. But normally, if going back in the days when Wishes was there, it would kind of draw you all together as a family, and there'd be some form of real connection emotionally. And yet, it never did that for me, and it still doesn't do it for me. It leaves me. I'm not cold. That's the wrong word to use, but it leaves me just missing something. And then when you compare it, because we were very fortunate that we did the Halloween party. If you haven't seen the pictures yet, Claire and I got dressed up for the Halloween party, which was actually
Not just us.
no.
That's
We made
wrong, John.
the families dress up as well, which was even funnier.
Yeah, thank you. Just for
But the Halloween fireworks and the music absolutely nailed it. And I don't know. I came away from Happily Ever After and I thought, it's still not Wishes, and I was really desperately wanting, because I would Ben and Becca love it. I was desperately wanting to.
Do you know what? It's
More Ben
me
than Becca.
yeah.
I like it well enough, but I
Yeah.
do prefer Wishes still.
It's difficult, and I know I liked Wishes, but for me, the first probably fireworks show that was my favourite on property was always Phantasmic. So everything that had to set the bar, and to me, maybe it was the projections on for Happily Ever After that did that.
Yeah.
And I still think the best place now to watch Happily Ever After is not in the hub.
It's in Main Street, definitely.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
at the back.
Main Street towards
Yeah.
that, towards in line with Main Street Bakery. You can be in the centre because you're now surrounded by the projections. I think it's a much better view. But then obviously nothing beats Top of the World Lounge for us, because you can go and have a huge pretzel. And
I disagree. I've watched it on Top of the World Lounge.
you don't get the atmosphere
I got
like you do
I got
in.
I mean, it was nice, but I got 0 from it.
Um,
I'm with John on this, and I know it's controversial, and that's why I thought I'd raise it, because actually I think Happily Ever After does leave me a bit cold.
Yeah.
I don't feel the joy in it. I like the music, and there's some fireworks, and there's a few actions, because we paid to do a dessert party so that I could watch it from the hub, because I was like, I need to see this properly because everyone says it's amazing. So Millie wanted to do a dessert party, so we did a pre-fireworks dessert party. Don't waste your money, people. And we watched it from the AstroTurf in the hub, so we had a great view, and I still felt nothing. It's like the chorus line. I felt nothing.
It's really difficult to pinpoint how for me Wishes didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's
weird. Wishes made me cry.
Where, to be honest, I much preferred Celebrate the Magic.
I would pick
Wishes.
Enchantment. I would pick Enchantment over Happily Ever After every day.
I liked Enchantment, but
really
not as much
liked
as
it.
Happily Ever After. I think maybe it was because
Need to
when we
watch it
went
again.
back in 2021 with Enchantment, it was like, okay, here is the new show. We didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Happily Ever After. It was one of those like, okay, so everyone wanted
How
to
dare
come
you
back.
replace it?
Yeah, how dare you replace this while we can't even get back in the country to do it? And then it's just like, I don't know.
But how very clever at Disney to then charge you for the party nights next year, where they're going to do the extended hours, and they're going to do both of them.
Yeah.
There you go. Imagine that. That's,
You can
whatever genius thought of that. Ben, you mentioned Phantasmic.
So
I've got to say,
I was going to say briefly, actually,
year,
before we
go on.
I was going to say, before we move on, because John, I don't think I've asked you this. Did you see much of the D23 news
Yes,
while you were out there?
yes.
Because there is so much information, and there's also very little information about the nighttime parade that's coming next year.
Yeah.
All of the wording on it is taken from Wishes.
Yeah,
It seems to be leading with the blue
really
fairy.
odd, isn't it?
All of the words is starlight. And there was a video on TikTok that Disney promoted, was the opening line of Wishes, and it's all relating to the nighttime parade that's coming.
We
next
spent
year.
quite a lot of the holiday speaking to people about that, and actually, what I've decided is I'm not going to even try to imagine what it'll be. I'm not going to go either way on it at the moment. I'm not going to hype it into the biggest thing that's ever existed, nor am I going to slag it off. I'm just going to wait and see what happens, see what turns up, and then
watch it.
And then see exactly have they managed to actually replace something that was irreplaceable. But let's not get we won't go there again. Spectrum Magic, just saying.
Just saying. Hashtag Spectrum.
Yeah.
John, you were talking about Phantasmic.
Yeah. And actually, just as a show, they've had, it's really odd because it's always been Josh's most favourite show, right? So that's fine. So he's been to see it all summer. But the first night we went to see it, he was turning around and he's going, oh, they've added this back into it. And so it's still getting upgrades as well. And so he was seeing things for the first time, even during the course of the summer. The amount of love that show is being given by Disney, but more importantly by the people in the park. It's quite scary just how busy it gets very early, and especially even if there's two showings, the second showing, it wasn't like it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, where you rock up 5 minutes before the second show, and you get there'd only be like 2 quadrants of the amphitheatre.
You got time to pick up your popcorn and nip to the loo. And
no chance. No,
if you fight your way through.
for a 9 o'clock show, if you rock up at 8:30, you're struggling getting your popcorn
You're
and
in the
beer
villains.
sorted.
You're down
And
into
it's,
far.
it's really odd.
Yeah.
But we were just, it blew us away. And I've got to say that was a really big surprise for me, because I've seen it loads and loads of times before. They have changed it. It doesn't impact on the story. It actually adds to it.
What do you
Absolutely.
think of the Moana section where she's in the water? Did you like that bit?
I thought it was really nice. I actually felt that, just that whole bit and that connection. And you've got to look carefully at the fact that she puts her feet into the water. But that, again, just the little symbolism is just a very, very clever bit of theatre. And I think that's the bit that really got me, is the fact that it remains a theatrical treat. It's not just a fireworks show.
Are we all in agreement that's the best show on property? Fireworks show?
I think it is at the
At the
moment.
minute? At the moment.
I would agree. There's someone in my house who disagrees.
Yeah. What I would say, Ben, and I've got, as a fireworks show, Epcot has got the most fantastic fireworks. The fireworks are just brilliant. You can watch them. You don't even have to be in the park to actually enjoy just the enormity of the fireworks. But I still think I'm going to have to go back and listen to some of the music. As with everything for this trip, I tried not to watch an awful lot online prior to going, so as not to spoil it. Obviously, there's been bits and bobs I've just dipped into just to research for shows, but I've tried to just deaden that whole thing of it's just like, watching something so I know exactly when to take a photo and things like that. Just go and enjoy it and just enjoy watching it. But it's still not as good as Fantasmic. we ended up. Joe was on the single ride of Rock and Roller on one of our last trips to the studios, and Rock and Roller was playing up for the umpteenth time for this trip. But we're actually on the same ride vehicle. So he was at the back. I was about halfway down, but he was with some people from Turkey, and he was trying to tell them, you need to go to Fantasmic. Don't leave the park. Don't think this is the end of your day. Go and watch Fantasmic. So he basically made a Turkish family go and see Fantasmic for the first time. Which I thought,
having met Joe properly this summer, that's such a Joe thing to do. I love it. His enthusiasm for everything. I love it.
It really is. You can feed off it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's a fireworks annihilated completely.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But I think one of the things I want to come back to is the fact that before, even on our last trip, we were very much sort of we were left disappointed simply because Star Wars was just on the cusp of opening. There was like a few soft openings for cast members and family and things like that, but we never saw that. We'd never done Mickey and Minnie's. We'd never done Guardians. We'd never seen the new Nemo show. So I keep putting in my notes for the whole day. It's like the amount of premieres that we actually went to on this trip was quite something else. Tron, after all those years of building, we actually managed to go and see what it was actually meant to be all about. So that was quite a thing. But I've got to say, some of the rides that have gone in really did sort of just blow me away. Especially Mickey and Minnie's was just incredible from the very outset. Not just the music. I know people may or may not like the music, but the actual whole concept of it. I'm trying not to do any spoilers for anybody, but absorb the pre-show, because the pre-show actually is exceptionally clever.
Yeah.
And the ride itself is
joyful, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Joyful ride. It makes you smile. It makes you laugh. Just go with it. Don't overthink it. Enjoy it for what it is.
And then on your second ride of it, just keep your eye out for Easter eggs, and then overthink it and look everywhere for all the hidden
everywhere
Mickeys.
that you're not meant to be looking. Look.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
It's just brilliant. It's so clever and so Disney-esque.
Did you conga? Did you dance in the?
Oh yeah. Oh, you've got to. Yeah, you've got to dance when you're there. Otherwise, you feel you feel a little bit uncomfortable in the ride vehicle anyway. So you might as well just roll with it. You can do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then speaking of conga, I've got to say, Guardians was just incredible. And for long-time listeners and viewers to the show, I know ever since it's opened, I've always said that I wanted one song. If I was going to ride Guardians, I was getting one song. And actually, Claire was with us on that day. I think Claire's only line to me was the only thing she could hear through the whole ride of it. I think it was our very first time of riding it. was just me
Yeah.
laughing. And it was just like,
It was.
it was one of the moments before it was written that you were going
It
to
was
get,
brilliant.
I ran by a flock of seagulls. And it was just like, just magnificent. It really was. It was just everything that I'd always built it up in my head to be.
Mhm.
And we then had to get up early throughout the whole day
Yeah.
Trying
To go
to
and
more
show
virtual
you-
cues.
to go,
Yeah.
but to go on it again, simply to actually see why it was I missed the first time, because actually I was that absorbed just by the music that I kind of missed out of it. So
Yeah.
It's
each time we went on
right.
afterwards, it's just brilliant.
You get
And
off
it
the
is-
first time, you're like, I need to go now. I need to go
Yeah.
on it again
Yeah.
this minute, and you can't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that builds up the anticipation a little bit. But yeah, John, I was with you when your
Yeah.
first one, and I hadn't realised that you hadn't seen any of the footage.
No.
Or anything. So even like the queue line with all the the ones that
No.
Xandar and all of the little comedy snippets and stuff. We were in the queue for what, half an hour, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just awesome. And of course, Josh had been riding it and he's like seen any of this, and I was watching it, and Joe and Alison, we were all looking around like, wow. And of course you get into the pre-show and I was like, oh my god, hasn't seen literally seen nothing. And it was awesome because when you get into that pre-show, often people will peel off to the right and you're like, oh, what are they doing? That must be something actually. And actually none of us did. We just went with it and let you stand wherever you wanted to stand and didn't preempt the fact that you were going to go to the doors on the right. We just stayed over to the left and enjoyed it. And it was the best experience. And then of course we were all sat together on the ride, and then I ran back and Morgan and I literally went, yes, it
was
could not have been more perfect.
No, it was. It was just
so
like
great.
Yeah, and the whole trip had moments like that, and that's a bit, even when we came home, apart from having to put the heating on in the first week we came home, it was that cold. It's taken quite a while to actually just sort of pick apart what we actually managed to achieve, and that at times has been made. It's basically made the whole of September exceptionally long. It's made September an extremely sort of difficult month to navigate because mentally we want to all be back there, and we want to be just having sort of the absolute time of our life because from day to day, whilst we hadn't planned anything, we kind of just made it up as we went along. And that occasionally we ended up in the wrong park on the wrong day and stuff like that. But hey, it happens. But one of the things I think that will always stay with me is some of the surprises. And the biggest surprise, I talked about rides being so good. I think I missed out Ratatouille as well, which was superb, but very, very much like Paris. The biggest surprise of everything that's new that's gone in was going into Epcot. And basically just seeing how my favourite park had been ripped apart, much to my disgust initially. But walking back in, I actually felt more emotional walking into there than I did when I walked into Magic Kingdom for the first time. And that surprised me in itself. Going back into Magic Kingdom was much more of it was a factual part of just, we're back. Going into Epcot, it just clutched at the heart and just seeing how good a job they've done of it. Yeah. The pathway to the right, which now leads to the seas, is such a cracking idea because it avoids that sort of that funneling of the crowd. So no matter if you go straight ahead or you go right, you now have space and time to actually absorb the place. But I've got to say, Moana's Journey of Water is the most Disney and child-friendly, adult-friendly piece of Imagineering I've seen in modern times. It's got something for absolutely everyone, no matter how tall you are, how short you are, whether you're a toddler, if you're in a buggy, you'll see different things than adults will. And it's just visually superb, and it changes as the day goes on.
I think I said on a previous show that it really fits sort of Walt's idea of edutainment.
Yeah.
That there is literally something in there for everybody. And I can't wait to go back and just explore.
It didn't hit me, Ben, until we actually walked through it. Just because when you think, it's just a walkthrough. I tell you what, I'll give it a miss. We'll go and do it. Frozen ride or something like that. But actually, when you start to see the detailing and you start to understand that this is something that someone has spent considerable amount of Disney time in putting together in a truly Epcot way, and I really felt that for me was the biggest surprise. I was just expecting to just walk through. So, there you go, seen it. I walked through very slowly. I was just completely blown away just how interactive it was, but just how engaging it was. irrespective of how old you were. And I think that's something that whoever's designed it needs to get a little bit more work
Yeah, can they
in
do
some
Yeah.
of the other
In
parts as
communical
well.
hall. If they could
Maybe-
just like move a little
Yeah.
bit to communical hall and go
Yeah.
and fix that.
Maybe they could do an indoor one for winter or something like that. That would be good.
I'm really, we've not seen Epcot without the walls yet.
No.
So I'm really excited
Mm.
to see.
It's
I hadn't,
funny.
hadn't realised that, Ben. Oh my word.
Yeah, no, we're still waiting. Won't be long.
And
Couple of weeks.
I think
That would be
that
amazing.
The thing that worried me, and I think it's only maybe this trip that's made me think about it in this way, is that I thought, they're taking out Fountain of Nations. They put up all these walls. They've stuck some garden in them. They've ripped the heart out of Epcot.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel like that anymore. I kind of feel like they've done a bit of a transplant process.
Yeah.
They've done some surgery and they've given Epcot something different. They've given it a new heart. It doesn't look the same, but it still functions and it still breathes as Epcot. It still feels like Epcot and it still has the same atmosphere, it's slightly different. It's beating at a different pace.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So they took away what was there, but they've replaced it with something that's just as functional and it's just as engaging.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I love that world celebration area with the gardens and seating areas. And, that is beautiful. Like Communical Hall, yes, we all have a view about that. But that beautiful garden that's outside Creations that cuts across towards the land, that's if they just left the fountain, it would have been perfect. But
Maybe if they
I'm-
refurbish the fountain.
I am
something
totally
it just
good with what they've got, and I really, really love it. And I think that it's only this time I've realised they haven't taken away the heart of what I loved. They've just they've done a bit of a
they've
transformation.
just changed it. It's just
A bit of a transformation.
Yeah, they've given it a new bit, and that's okay. Something younger, something newer, something that's going to last a little bit longer. That's all right.
Hopefully it
It's
lasts
got a
longer than some of
facelift.
Hopefully it lasts longer than some of the lighting that they put in the floor that's already broken. But hey, that's don't mention
I
that.
won't talk about that.
someone needs to call Disney maintenance.
Yeah,
Someone's changing the light bulb as we speak.
yeah. Someone bought cheap, so they buy twice.
LEDs,
yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, I've got to say, Claire, that was one of the biggest reliefs. It's just actually recognizing that it still has that. But I think that whole area, it encourages people to gather and people to meet and to just and like we said for a long time about just allowing yourself to soak up the park rather than finding yourself on World Showcase and going for a beer or whatever. You can actually sit and just soak it in, and you actually can cut yourself off from the park, and you don't have people walking past and sort of spoiling that illusion. It's very, very clever, very clever.
I think that's nice to have in place in a lot of the parks. There are areas in there that you don't realise you're in the park.
Yeah.
And I know we mentioned on a previous show with Jason about the announcements about Tom Sawyer Island going away, and that's an area that you didn't realise that you're still in the theme park. You're still separate from it. And the same with places, Animal Kingdom. So it's nice that this is still going to be a focus to those places that you don't realise, and it's somewhere to explore.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that's something that you would hope that someone who's listening to what is actually being said about Tom Sawyer Island. Yes, we know that there has to be something going at the Magic Kingdom. I think, short of knocking it down and putting the car park on the lake at the front, there's nothing we can get away with towards the front of the park. But at the back, you've actually got options. And it took me a while after D23 to actually get my head around it, because I was very much in the mindset of, you can't touch that. But actually, sometimes you have to change something in order to move a park on. And I think we are at that point with Magic Kingdom. It needs a little bit of new life, a little bit of a refresh, and it needs a little bit of love, because I won't go down my Splash Mountain tirade that I forced my family to listen to.
How was Tiana's?
It was Splash Mountain without the music. That's the only way I can describe it. It's just like I was left frustrated, because actually, as you come off, you just want to rock into Zippity Doo Dah, but then you get
the thing I missed.
But you get to the monorail station coming out of Magic Kingdom, and it's on the loop, and you're like, hang on a minute. You get on the monorail, someone's whistling it, and you're thinking, hang on, this is just like, it's so enshrined within not just the park, within everything, that you've actually lost sight of what what it is that was making it good, but that's just a little thing. That and Trom. Trom was all right. It's too short. As I thought, it's very controversially. It's very similar to the bike ride that's at Flamingo Land locally, but it's just done slightly differently.
I like.
Did that take 6 years to build though?
Yeah, but the storyline's really wafer thin. You're basically looking at blues against reds or oranges or whatever, but they don't explain it. And actually, it kind of. I don't know.
I like the reveal as you walk through into the queue and it opens up and you see that. But once you've seen it once, that's it. You know what's going to happen.
I think the best thing for Tron for me is the music in the queue line.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And sing it at night
makes
as well.
You feel like you're ready for it, which is really great. The music's fantastic. The ride is like, oh, we're done already.
Yeah.
Bit of a letdown.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'll mention as well, because if we're talking about Tianas, we're talking about Trom. Obviously, you're talking about virtual queues, except for the past few weeks now, Tron's gone to being just sort of, it's gone to being a standby. And probably nobody even noticed any difference.
100-minute plus queue on the first. Yeah. Which, to be honest, wasn't really, which was sort of expected on the first day.
Yeah.
It's purely because it's been virtual queue since it's been open in 2022.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
At time of recording, it's 65 minutes, and that is not unusual in Magic Kingdom.
For any ride at all.
I'm looking at.
I would expect that.
That's like probably same ride times Seven Dwarfs.
40 minutes for Space Mountain, 45 minutes for Seven Dwarfs.
And I think as well, though, Claire, by bringing it to a standby as well, it will take queue times away from Space and from Seven Dwarfs. One of the things across the parks that it became a little bit of a competition. Because actually, Lightning Lane, for all its well and good, I couldn't bring myself. As much as I would have buy an individual Lightning Lane for Guardians, I couldn't bring myself. I would wake myself up at $6.50 and I would get in that virtual queue. I wasn't going to be spending money on just doing a single ride or doing the Lightning Lane when you get the 3 rides and things like that. It is not value for money. I think for anyone listening, we managed it in August, and if you can manage it in August, you can manage it, I think, any point in the year, probably except Christmas and Easter, but hey, that'll be another.
But then everyone else is still trying to buy it at the same time as well.
Yeah.
And it's always a difficult one from that. And I don't think it's aimed, especially at the pricing, that it's aimed as much at the UK or international market as.
Oh, no, it's definitely.
Much longer time. We'll go there for 10 nights, 14 nights, 21, where. You can have people that they're like, actually, I'm going to go there for 2-3 nights. It's like, I want to hit 3 or 4 parks and do.
Absolutely, that's what it's about. It's not, and that's why it's not available to us, because it's not actually for us.
On our trip, we've got 1 day booked at Epcot. If I miss the virtual queue, I will pay for Guardians.
Why would you miss the virtual queue, Ben? Just get up earlier.
I would, but we are at Mickey's Not So Scary the night before.
So, set it on.
That's fine. You'll be right. Don't you worry. I could I managed.
I'll tell you what is funny at the end of that Epcot day is we are doing the extended evening hours, so we will be in the park till 11 p.m.
So we'll get that virtual queue instead.
Get it again. So
don't say I'm not getting up early. Of course
you could. Yeah, come on, and then you could get boarding group 2.
If I can save $17 each. See, I one day I want to get boarding group 1.
Yeah,
I hope it's not that.
The lowest I've had is boarding group 5, and that was called at like 8:04 in the morning, and we were just like, we haven't even left the villa yet. You know, this is crazy. But it isn't hard to get a virtual queue. You just have to be up and we've talked about it in previous episodes as how chat is not.
The 1 o'clock one's not too bad to get anymore either, is it?
I think people are used to it now, and then you know. It hasn't been a busy summer, so you know the availability is there. And yes, you're still going to have to queue inside with Guardians, particularly. You're still going to have half an hour inside the building, but it's in the air conditioning and it's cool to look at, and there's loads to see, and you get music and all of that stuff.
I would much rather be in the virtual queue for Guardians than paying for the one that jumps, so you miss quite a lot of it.
Oh,
and
the
you go
corridor.
down this boring,
my word,
corridor. That's my communal hall's like. It's like walking through that.
Communal. It's John, what else did you do that was remarkable? Did you do anything or did you did you? I mean, obviously,
Apart from Halloween party was superb. Loved that. I would also say another little hidden gem, and loads of people might miss it, is in the studios. There's Mickey and Minnie in Vacation Fun, and it's just like a little short, but loads of people just keep going straight past it. It was brilliant. It was superb.
It's right
It
next
was-
to the Frozen.
Where,
If you carry on going round towards Star
Oh,
Tours.
I know,
Yeah.
near the
It was-
Olaf meet and greet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like such an easy to miss little bit, and you just thought, oh my word, that was just amazing. Really was.
Cute.
A few minutes of
yeah.
air conditioning as well.
Yeah, that was good. I probably normally would have missed that, and actually, I put it on my notes as a little hidden gem. I think the other side as well, I would also mention that I had a very lovely experience with a friend of the show, Katie Wetzel, who invited me to meet the cast, who were absolutely amazing. And it was just like one of them moments that she was so keen to just make sure that it was kind of the closing of a circle from when she'd sent me the message via Neil and Karen when I was in hospital, and to actually be able to go and be part of that was just, it'll live with me forever. And I know that Katie wants to come back on the show at some point in the future. She's got so much to say and so much to share, and again, just such a lovely human being that, I can't really. It transcends our show. It's not a show bit. It became really it became sort of a personal thing, and I just thought, it was absolutely brilliant, and I can't take my hat off to Katie enough. She really did. She did us absolutely proud, and that'll be a day that'll live with me forever, purely from that. And she's just like, and all the cast got some of our beer mats as well, which is even better. Which is really funny, because actually I'd sent Joshua some. I know Morg had some, so they were giving beer mats out to people. But I think the cast at Haunted Mansion had got onto this. So by the time there was one night we were there, and Joshua Morg's flatmate was working, and then one of the cast members, M, came out, and she's just like, "Oh, I've heard all about your show," and she started talking about it. She was a most amazing person, right? So you think, "Oh well, that's fine, yeah, that's fine." The boys are just let her in, but she was listening. She has been listening to the show.
Yeah.
So it was lovely meeting you. The next time we went in, I went and took her a beer mat, especially just in case because she'd missed out. She was whinging that she'd missed out, and then I found out she's a cast member that Disney have used for all their promo for Haunted Mansion for the Halloween party. So I'm at the Halloween party, looking at some of these pictures. I know her. I was just like, it's Em. I just thought, that is just like, it's fabulous. Obviously, the day we did the cornhole toss, that stands out.
Yes.
But that's got to show all of it. So
I can see just behind you, John. I can see the beanbag.
the beanbag, yeah, and the big, massive trophy. Obviously, but we did loads of stuff, and we did like food and wine on the last day because it was Josh's 21st, so he's legally able to drink in America.
More Schaffenhofer.
Yeah, he soon realised that doesn't taste good when you can drink a proper pint. And tell you that was bottom of the list. Yeah,
we've been buying Schaffenhofer when we got home. I kept getting sent to the.
It doesn't taste the same. It's not the same as Epcot.
And not 2.5%.
It doesn't matter. If you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's certainly. I've got some in the fridge already, which I know I won't be drinking.
Yeah, I'm just aware that if you're going on a trip, you want as many amazing things to happen, and we didn't plan for a lot of things to happen. We did Keys to the Kingdom tour. We planned that. I booked that, which is the first time that both Josh and Joe have been able to do it because of their ages. That was amazing. Again, I won't do any spoilers, but from the first time I'd done it, you certainly got to see an awful lot more backstage than I did the first time.
Where did you stop for food? Was it Pecos Bill?
No, we were at Columbia Harbour House, which was great, which suited me because actually, I think I said it in a show quite a while ago. I was getting a little bit weary of what kind of food I would be able to eat, simply because I don't do jaggedy food because I can't bite into it and I can't deal with it. So I'm thinking this could be a problem But actually, I managed to find my way around any menu. Even went to Longhorns one night as well, and I had my first steak for over 2 years, which I didn't think I'd be able to eat, which I managed, which was quite a nice thing to do. And yeah, we've just done the most amazing things when we're away. It was a shame to come home. Coming home, I did have a look, and this again comes back to what I said about car hire. Don't just presume that everything's there for you and you can't touch it. So with the car hire, before you go, keep checking in, see if the price has gone down. If you're cancelable, you can save yourself some money. Coming home a week before, I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll just have a check on what's happening with the flight. And because we booked through Delta, and this is the fun bit, we flew with Virgin. We booked with Delta because it was cheaper than the Virgin website, even though it was the same plane. I explain that one. We didn't have to pay for seat selection with Delta, so we knew what we were doing there. And then you go back into your booking a week before you're meant to be going home, and it suddenly lists all the alternative flights. And I'm like, oh, hang on. They've got the direct flight there with no additional supplement. And I'm thinking, so we can avoid going to Atlanta and we can go back home directly into Manchester. I'll have that. So we clicked the button, but we had to be really careful because Josh was on a separate booking than us. So if there was only 3 seats available, it might have meant he was going to Atlanta and then going home. And I thought that wouldn't go down very well whatsoever. And admittedly, the plane coming home was exceptionally busy. The small child behind Alison, who was about a 7-year-old, and had his own. Yeah, and basically he was needy, but his finger going at the back of the seat repeatedly throughout the flight became a bit wearing, I must admit. But that was it. But yeah, we got the direct flight coming home, which was again made such a massive difference. So I'm now a convert to direct there and back.
Love that.
And we just met the most amazing amount of people. Obviously, Claire met with you and your family.
I don't count that because
Yeah, but I also met
this all the time. But
I know, but met Robin as well, which was really funny because we were in the Odyssey Pavilion. So I met Robin, and then I got a message that our good friend of the show, John Self, was in the same building just after we'd left. So I went back to meet John. So that was brilliant. I met Charlie and Stacey and Stephen and Sarah, who are Mickey Scousers and Disney Nerd Hunters. Met them. Claire and I, we did stuff with Matt and Crystal from Married to a Disney Addict.
We did.
Where we were meant to be given a little bit of a historical insight to the British Pavilion within Epcot. And actually, I think we did quite a sterling job. However, it took up far more of our time. It was one of them things. It would just be half an hour, and then our family would text and say, "Are you finished yet?" And that was like 2 hours down the line. Yeah.
Yeah, it took a fair amount of time. I think it'll be a fantastic show.
It will be groundbreaking.
And they've had great tech, and we need to invest. It was really fun actually to catch up with.
It was good.
Actually, we had a really good day actually that day.
Yeah. Also met Laura, who also watches our Wednesday shows, which was one of those moments that the kids had never readied themselves for. Is you're walking past someone in Epcot and they go, "It's a waffler." And it was just like, it was brilliant. It was just like,
oh my life, that's awesome.
I just thought that was lovely. I also met another person, Abby and Dave, who we'd met previously, who've read all my trip reports. I've read all of hers on the div. But I'm currently, Dave says, "That's that bloke we met in the Rose and Crown." I was just like, when you just think that's how small this becomes, and you're thinking there's so many people watch and listen to us. I just thought it was such a brilliant thing. We met them at Grand Floridian. Met Neil and Karen, who are long-time watchers of the show, supporters of the show through Portwood Travel. Her son Reese came out as well on our very last day, and he was just like, he was so desperate to see Josh and Joe that he came from the airport. We were in Epcot for food and wine, and then when we got back to the villa, he jumped in the car and came to ours for
that's nice.
Hours, which was absolutely superb. Also got to meet Jason and Michelle in real life, which I know sometimes we have Jason on the show quite a bit. When you get to know somebody online, when you get to see them in real life, he actually came out of his way to come and see us. And I know he'd recorded the was it the September show? I think it was.
Yeah, the 1st of September.
Yeah.
So he'd finished recording that and then came down to meet us in Epcot. And actually, again, just a lovely thing to do. We met so many people, and there's one person who, again, we've had on the show before, but throughout the whole summer, I think for both Josh and Morg, became in a way a surrogate big brother, and he enjoyed that role. But Zach Brown, for all that you see and all that you ever sort of hear from him when he's on our show, or you hear from him when he's on the socials and things like that, he's like that in real life. He is the most kind-hearted, kind-spirited, and well-meaning guy I think I've ever met. And for someone who's so young, I take my hat off to him, because he is totally in real life what he is out there. And I think that is something I think the boys have particularly got a lot of support from him.
Mainly in going for hot dogs and what was it?
Absolutely.
Chocolate cake milk.
Oh, and
chocolate cake
Portillo's.
shakes. Oh my life.
Yeah.
Chocolate cake shakes. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's disgusting. But they
Really?
Yeah.
They were. We'd been to dinner. We went to Miller's with Zach, and we'd had dinner, and it was all really nice. We were all full, and then Portillo's is like 2 doors up the road.
Yeah.
And Zach's like, "Oh, what I could really do with now is a Portillo's cake shake." And we were like, "Oh, what? What's that, a cake shake?" So it's basically like a chocolate milkshake, but they put an entire slice of chocolate cake inside the shake and blitz it up. But it's just like,
Oh, inside it.
Yeah.
I've seen the
Yeah.
ones where you can get like
oh
ones
no,
where they
no,
put it
this
on
is
top and it's
blended
through the
in the shake. So we've all gone home, and Zach has taken Morgan, Josh, and Joe off to Portillo's to get a cake shake, and then he's dropped them all home again at the various different locations.
It was just amazing. It was brilliant. But the thing is, we ended up going back to Portillo's a couple of nights later, because they'd gone on about it so much. And I thought, well, hang on, if you're going to do this, you have to go and see what the hot dogs are like and things like that. So we ended up, really good. And there's a couple of people we missed meeting. Which, believe it or not, you shouldn't think it was possible. But we also missed, again, another long-time listener to the podcast. There's somebody called, is it Shakil, who comes from Manchester, has been listening to us throughout. He was staying at the Yacht and Beach Club. And so I really regret not actually meeting up with them. It just didn't work. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time, at the wrong opportunities where it would come together.
Weird? Because Walt Disney World's such a small place. Sometimes you bump into people that you don't expect to bump into, and then sometimes it feels like the biggest place in the world, and you're like, but we're here at the same time. Like, I know the night before we're recording this, 2 people who listened to the show were both at the Hoop-de-Doo at the same time and didn't see each other.
Oh wow,
Really?
And that I was speaking to both of them. I'm like, you do realise it? And they were like, oh my God.
Oh no.
And sometimes it's just huge, and you don't realise that you've missed people until it's too late.
I remember we did World Africa Trek last year, and there was someone from Maidstone on the same. It was like we travelled 4,000 miles, over 4,000 miles, and we met someone from like 20 minutes up the road.
Yeah,
it's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But I think we also miscarried, didn't we? Which was a shame.
Yes, it was. And I
was gutted to miss Carrie and Mark because I was really looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out in terms of scheduling, and things changed, and I know that she was at work, and we had planned to have some time together, and then it didn't happen.
It's
and
amazing how 2 weeks.
3 weeks, 2 weeks, it really
disappeared.
just vanishes. And I was really sad actually to have missed her because she's been so generous and so kind and so helpful. And I know we talked about that on the cornhole competition show that we did, and Carrie spent a lot of time.
Just putting that together for us, just so that.
Yeah. And we're so appreciative. And I was really looking forward to buying her a drink. Didn't manage to get that, so maybe next time. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the thing, though, Claire. I think that's the best thing of all, to sort of bring everything together. We only did Disney, and we didn't do it. We didn't do everything.
Right.
And what was so good was actually just going back to a place that you love, and actually falling back in love with it. And it was like putting on a comfy pair of slippers, but it wasn't. It was just, you had that feeling back that you can't explain when it's not there, and yet when you're in it, even as a grown up, you become completely embraced by it, and you completely take. It's like you've got blinkers on. the outside world ceases to exist, and you're suddenly in a place where you feel secure, you feel happy, and you've got some amazing people around you. And I think that, that for me, going back, is the thing I will take from the whole trip, is the fact that I got to meet so many people. The people I didn't see, I've had messages from, and we've been able to, just sort of converse online. But we've all got this shared love of Disney, and I think that came through so powerfully. And it was so good, because like we started with the show, so it was about sort of two boys coming together and coming home. It was more about our families as well, Claire. And I was really appreciative of the time that we managed to actually get together as two different families. It was just brilliant. But even just prior to going out and putting down on paper what's happened in 5 years was quite a cathartic thing. So when I actually went on holiday, I was I've had messages from so many people, and I didn't realize, just by writing it down and putting it on the Dib. And I will put a link. There is a link in the Waffler's Arms, but I will continue to update the Waffler's Arms when I put new stuff on there. But so many people who are either in that position where they are mid-treatment, they've either just had a diagnosis, or they've no idea where that little ray of light is going to come from again. And they're listening and they're reading stuff. And I had no idea previously, as to, by putting it into words, how it would impact on other people. And I can only say how much it now means for me to go on and write this as a trip report, because it's got a completely different meaning than I actually have ever written anything before. Because it is, I never see my story as being inspirational. I just see the fact that I just want to get better. I want to get better, and I want to go to a place I really love. But to actually have so many people get in touch has taken me completely by surprise. And I just hope, even by listening to this show today, you can take some strength knowing that no matter how dark your days are at the present time, keep that thought of going back to your magical place just firmly as a centre towards recovering and towards getting better and towards just giving you that little step that everybody needs.
Anchor, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
To hold on to. And I think you're right, John. I think, the light is there. You just need to find a way to get to it. And I think that, I know we joke saying that you should write an autobiography. You totally should, because we would all want to listen to it, read it, whether John Bishop narrates it or whoever it is. Yeah. I just think, there's so much in that from pre Mickey Waffle, what you've been through over the last 5 years, and then going forwards, what does that look like? It's exciting times. And I think that, your commitment to sharing the positive side of that is what people are connecting with.
What I loved, John, was I remember just opening, every time that we'd been over the past few years to Florida, every time on our travel day, you would just share a picture of you watching us on Flight Radar. I took great delight in being able to do that for you.
We were all tracking you.
And it was like, I was just so excited, and just everything from
flight people.
That's it.
And it's like, from your premiering room tour to you going to the Grand Floridian, it was just like, you're just going back to a happy place. And it's just, over the past 5 years, seeing how we've all changed in how trips work for us, because it's so different, because our trip coming up is so different of how many times we're trying to fit in to meet people. Well, that's more of our priority in the trip than going in and spending rope drop to fireworks at Magic Kingdom. There's how our trips and how we feel on our holiday is so different to what it was before we were doing the show.
That's it. I think you've nailed it, Ben. And time, people evolve, time changes. What we need is different. And I think that it sounds like, John, you and your family had the most amazing trip, exactly what was needed. And it's a springboard to the next one, whenever that might be. I think lots of catching up with Josh and Morg later in the year, maybe, or the beginning of next year, to get to draw a line under that experience. And then I cannot wait to have another beer in Epcot, in the Rose and Crown, in the Waffle meet and greet that's now in the Rose and Crown.
We need to go to the Rose and Crown. We've never been, so this trip, that's going
to. They put a they put a line up ready for you.
Do I need to shove a card or something to
take a beer mat?
Take beer mats, Ben. Beer mats is now a currency amongst cast members, I reckon.
Well,
It's
they'll
like
be
the
going.
secret.
They'll be going to Disney Fantasy soon.
It makes me think of the old adventure game with the drop and stuff. It's like that's the beer Matt currency's getting. Ben, you're far too young to remember that. So go and look it up on YouTube.
Okay.
I think that is probably a good place to draw a line under this show. We will be talking about John's trip for months to come. So all the bits that he's omitted, and there is a lot, we will definitely catch up about. There's so many things that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, there is.
But that I know that we will continue to chat about it, and there'll be things that just come to us and go, oh, do you remember that? And do you remember this happened?
Yeah.
And, some of the ride photos are awesome, and we'll share bits and pieces. I had an awesome time spending time with you and your family. I say I can't wait to have yet another beer in a pub. So
Absolutely, got to be done.
And please do share your trip reports from the Dib for other people to read and connect with us in whichever way is necessary.
I will.
So if you missed,
I think as well for anyone who's listened to this, I think just use the one word, and it comes back to my very first trip report in 2013, which is called Believe. And it kind of, that resonates so much with what we were...
Foreshadowing for Ted Lasso, just saying.
No, it does so. And that's, it's really weird that's the bit that's got me through. Yeah. I used to use that quite a lot, as a teacher.
So Jason Sudeikis stole it from you. Okay, that makes sense.
I think so. I'm going to take credit for it.
About your autobiography.
I'm interested how long the episodes of Ted Lasso would be if John wrote them.
I think that's... I used Believe first. That's the name of the autobiography. That's chapter one.
Chapter one.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, John. Thank you for being so honest and transparent about your trip and sharing so candidly with us how it was for everyone, including you. And I just, we are looking forward to hearing more details in the future. So if you missed any of our previous shows, you don't need to worry. You can catch them all by downloading them from your favourite podcast app of, whatever that may be, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. You can find everything on our YouTube channel, which is Great British Mickey Waffle on YouTube. You can catch up with all things waffle at GB Mickey Waffle, and that is on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There's probably some others that I've forgotten, but maybe Threads, but we don't use that too much. Don't forget, we do a live show every week, usually on a Wednesday at 8:30 UK time. Sometimes that may change, so just keep an eye on the information coming out on our socials, and also duck into the Waffler's Arms, which is our Great British Mickey Waffle social pub of fun on Facebook, which is, bring your own drinks. I think, the Schaffenhofer isn't provided, but we are there with a very, very warm welcome for everyone. We do share some fun stuff in there. There's often photos, people chip in, and it's like going into a pub and everyone chats to each other. It's lovely. So come and join us there. And we also have Messenger chat as well. People want to share information and thoughts. So we would love to see you as part of our social network. We're all about growing our friends. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next person that John says hello to in the pub.
I hope so.
And add to the list.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
But thank you we do appreciate your support. Share it out with all your friends. If you like what we do, tell someone about it, because it all helps us in terms of creating content for the future. We've been doing this for 5 and a bit years. We hope to do it for a bit longer. So thank you. And John, thank you for sharing your information. Ben and Becca, thank you for being here. While this recording goes out, you will be away enjoying a cruise.
Oh, we'll be back off of the cruise by the time this goes out.
Oh, wow. There you go.
We would have been in Epcot yesterday. We would have been in Epcot yesterday.
So. Yeah, you'll be done.
Ben's all planned. There you go. That's more than we were.
Yeah. Right.
To be fair, that's the extent of it. Cruise, Halloween party, Epcot.
Shopping day, I think is today.
We hope you've had a great time. That's
it.
Yeah.
There is just one thing left to say. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my